You know what I've realized after living abroad for a while? There are things that feel completely normal in Europe that you don't even think that aren't normal anywhere else. You just live your life without noticing these things when you live in that environment. But when you step outside of it, you travel or you talk people from other parts of the world, you start to realize, oh wait, that's actually not normal everywhere and it's kind of special in a way. And sometimes we can take those things for granted. So I kind of wanted to go through some of the things that I've noticed or realized, things that feel normal in Europe. Maybe not in every country because Europe is big and there's so many countries and we're all different in our own way, but a lot of these can be probably similar. So comment and let me know if some of these relate to you, sound familiar, or where are you from and what have you noticed about your country or Europe that maybe you didn't before. Number one, cobblestone streets and old towns. In many European cities, it feels completely normal to walk through cobblestone streets and centuries old buildings on your way to grocery stores, on your way to work, on your way to school, or just walking like it's nothing. Like it's nothing that there's a castle. That building is centuries old. But when you think about it, in a lot of other places in the world, that kind of environment is something you travel to see, something you pay to see, not something you grow up with and walk through every day. Just like we travel to see nice beaches, just like we travel to see tropical landscape, mountains. I'm from Estonia, by the way, and I definitely took it for granted to walk through old towns, to walk on the cobblestones. And while living abroad, I actually started to miss it. I actually started to miss the history of it. But it was not something I realized before, how charming the streets, villages, small towns, and cities in Europe can actually be. Another thing is how extreme the seasons feel in some parts of Europe. Like winter doesn't just mean it gets a bit cold that you just bring out your jacket. It can mean long, dark months where your daily routine feels different. Like you kind of feel like you're just hibernating just to get through the winter. Energy changes, mood changes, how much you go outside changes. And then summer hits and it feels almost unreal. Like you could not wait for it. Long days, light evenings, people suddenly outside all the time, all day long. Basically, it feels like during winter, you're just on winter sleep and you wait for it to get over. For 6 months, you wait until it's over. And then you slowly start to wake up, and then it's summer for 3 months, and you'll try to do everything in that 3 months. Like you're literally out every single day until 10 p.m., 11 p.m., doing barbecues, going to friends' houses, going to beach, everything. Just because the summer is so short, you just take the most of it so you can hibernate during the winter again. It's like two completely different versions of life in the same place. And I've realized that in a lot of parts of the world, seasons don't really change your lifestyle that dramatically. Life stays more consistent all year round. Yes, the seasons still change, but it's not as noticeable. It's not as drastic. Like living in Australia, for example, yes, summers can be really extremely hot, winters are cold, but then again, you still get to go outside more. Like, you don't really want to do that when it's minus 20, or yeah, just completely different worlds. I don't know. Walking everywhere is actually normal. Something I used to take for granted is just how normal it is to walk everywhere in many European cities. Not like I'm just going for a walk as an activity, but just in general life. You walk to the shop, walk to meet friends, you walk to the city, walk through different parts of the city without thinking much about it. And everything is relatively close in a way that makes that possible. Like you can just walk 20 minutes to get to the city. You can walk 20 minutes to the cinema. That you don't even have to take the bus for it or public transport. In other places, distances are different. Cities are too big to walk everywhere. And walking isn't really the normal way to get around. It's just interesting how your whole sense of distance changes depending on where you live. While living in a Sydney, a normal way to get around is ferry, for example. The most amazing way to get around, by the way, which I absolutely loved. Very different, and the views you get from it, but it's sometimes too far to walk, for example. And while I visited LA, we also tried to get around by walking. And it seemed like we were the only people who were walking because everyone were driving cars instead of walking. Long summer nights. This isn't all over Europe, but in more places like Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and other northern regions, there are periods in summer where the sun sets really, really late. Like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., or even later. And even after sunset, it doesn't really get fully dark. So your brain kind of loses track of time in a way. The days feel so long and we really try to take the most of it while the summer is here. And then the opposite happens in winter, where it can already be dark again by 3 p.m. on the afternoon. Like 3 p.m. and it feels like the day is already over. Like you get up, it's dark, you go back home after work, it's dark. So basically, it's always dark. While in summer, it's always light. Old versus modern living side by side. Something I really like about Europe is how you can have completely different time periods next to each other. Like you can be in an old town street and then turn around the corner and there's modern buildings there, or a modern cafe, or a new apartment building. They're mixed together and I think it's very cool. And I think it looks nice when it's nicely done. So we kind of appreciate the history, but we also stay modern in a way. And I love that. And after a while, you even stop noticing how unusual it is. Like you get a 5-star hotel and then you have a charming history building hotel. I think that's very nice. Small distances between very different cultures. One thing that's quite unique and something we might take for granted a little bit is how quickly and easily you can go to completely different culture and country. You can drive a few hours and be in a new country, in a new culture. In Estonia, we can take a ferry to Finland in 2 hours and enjoy different culture, different city, different feel. Or we can take a short flight to, I don't know, Sweden, France, anywhere. It's still short. It's still such a short time to fly somewhere. It's not like 12-hour flights that you have to take to get to Thailand, or I think it's 11 hours to America, or 24 hours to Australia. We don't even have to think about the roaming costs. And even if we might seem very similar, we are also very different and unique in our own ways. All countries. How amazing is that? I mean, people even travel to another country just to buy things like food, just to buy clothes, to get groceries, or something simple like that, because it might be cheaper there. How unique. Castles just vibing in the background of normal life. Another thing that feels completely normal is just having a random castle, a massive building, centuries old building, or a fortress, just casual sitting on a hill next to your town or right in the middle of your city. You walk past it on your way to groceries or to a bar or a doctor's appointment, and you don't even look up, just because it's normal. But when you step outside of Europe, you realize that a 700-year-old stone castle is a massive historical monument people pay for. People pay fortunes to travel to and to see and to experience that feeling. The idea that you can just go have a picnic next to it, or you can just walk past a medieval fortress on a random Tuesday afternoon, is luxury that we can sometimes take for granted. Quietness and low social pressure. Another thing I've noticed is how calm public life can feel in many European places. I'm not saying that we are the most quiet people out there or anything, but it's different in a way. Like there isn't always this pressure to fill silence or constantly interact with strangers. We Europeans don't do small talk or interact with strangers that easily. We are so much more reserved, so much more quiet. We like to keep it to ourselves. We like to keep the distance sometimes. People aren't necessarily trying to be social all the time, even when there is some kind of event, even when there is some kind of gathering or people being around. It doesn't automatically mean that we have to talk or engage to us. And I think I only really noticed it when I compared it to other places where I've been to, where public spaces can feel a bit more loud, a little bit more social, or high energy. For example, sometimes going to a cafe in Estonia is so quiet that even you try to talk more quietly so that people wouldn't hear you or that you wouldn't bother them. it's kind of nice in a way. While in Australia, sometimes it was full on energy, so much talking that sometimes you couldn't even hear each other, that you had to shout to talk to other people. Just very lively. And neither is a bad thing, but we are definitely more on the quiet side here. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it interesting how normal actually isn't that normal sometimes. It's kind of special. Because when you grow up in a place, you don't really question it or you don't notice it. And then you leave or talk to other people and you realize how different normal actually can be, depending on where you are. And I love it. Anyway, I think I'll probably keep doing more videos like these, just noticing small things about how life feels in different places, because it's honestly one of the most interesting parts of living abroad, traveling and experiencing different cultures and countries, right? If you live in Europe or you have visited Europe, leave me a comment about what you have noticed in your country or in Europe that is normal there, but not everywhere. I would love to know, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to read those. It's cool, right? So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!